आफ्टरनून, गुड इवनिंग, जहां से भी आप लोग जुड़े हैं और स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से इस लाइव क्रिकेट स्ट्रीम पर ऑन द चैनल ब्रॉट यू बाय डाफा न्यूज। कल हमने बहुत चर्चा करी कि इंडिया ने कैसे इंग्लैंड को हराया, कैसे डिफेंडिंग चैंपियंस इंग्लैंड को हराया टू कीप द डिफेंडिंग चैंपियंस एट लास्ट रॉक बॉटम on that points table. आज हम तो उस मैच के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे, but we're going to talk about something which is very, very interesting, and that is how the England team is actually struggling for qualification to the Champions Trophy. And I'll tell you why it's alarming. For all the reasons we've discussed on this live stream since England's World Cup began with that loss to New Zealand in Ahmedabad. They lost by 9 wickets. और तब से अगर हम इनके कैंपेन को देखें, it's just been one struggle after the other. This is by far their worst World Cup ever. इससे पहले 2007 में इंग्लैंड की टीम 4 मैच हारी थी वेस्ट इंडीज में, but now with 5 losses, this is officially the worst performance by any England team in a World Cup. और हम ये देखें कि वो डिफेंडिंग चैंपियंस हैं जो 2015 वर्ल्ड कप से पिछले 8 साल में जो इनका योगदान रहा व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट में, to change the game, to put on an aggressive, bold style of play. To see this England team with a lot of the same players from the 4 years ago, so bereft of ideas, so bereft of confidence, and just not being able to back that aggressive style of play that won them not just the One Day World Cup 4 years ago, but as well as the T20 World Cup last year in Australia. This is just a broken, let's say this is a broken, crocked, finished England team. They probably have checked out mentally, and I said it on a couple of streams. I think that loss to South Africa at the Wankhede, where in 42-degree heat on a flat track, Joss Butler made the criminal error of putting the strongest batting team in the tournament into bat. And उस दिन के बाद से मेरा ये मानना है कि ये टीम चेकआउट हो चुकी है. इनके ब्रिटिश मीडिया में रिपोर्ट्स हैं कि रिफ्ट है, फिलाना डिमकाना. Owen Morgan, the man who remains the only captain of an England team to win a one-day World Cup, he said that he believes something is not right. He seems to see that there's a rift and all that stuff. Matthew Mott, the coach, has denied that. But when Owen Morgan says that not just in cricket, when he sees this as the biggest disappointment, the biggest letdown for any sporting team, given the pressure, given the status that England team has, you have to wonder, is Owen Morgan on to something? और देखें, इनके ना तो बॉलर चल रहे, ना तो इनकी बैटिंग चल रहे हैं. ये 200 नहीं बना पा रहे. कल के मैच में इनका टारगेट था 230 और वो 129 पे ऑल आउट हुए टू हैंड इंडिया विक्ट्री बाय 100 रन. अब आज का जो शो का टॉपिक है वो है कि अगले चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी के लिए जो 2025 में होगा, 2 साल बाद, इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन इन पाकिस्तान, और एटलीस्ट all of it won't happen in Pakistan because we know what happens when the BCI gets involved. Lekin, can you think of a Champions Trophy that does not have England? And I'll tell you why it's possible. England अभी 10 में से 10 है पॉइंट्स टेबल पर. इनके पास 3 मैच और हैं जीतने के लिए. Frankly, I don't think they'll win probably one, more than one out of three. And if they do not finish in the top seven, they're in danger of qualifying, dosto, for the 2025 Champions Trophy. England, double World Cup winners, current holders of the One Day World Cup and the T20 World Cup, might not qualify for the Champions Trophy 2 years from now because of how abject, how dismal, how sloppy they've been in this World Cup. Can they lift themselves off the number 10 on this World Cup table? Can they get beyond Bangladesh? It's possible. They have to play some outstanding cricket, but like Chris Wokes has said, like Joss Butler has said, like David Willey has said, things are not going right, and they seem to be at an all-time low when it comes to World Cup. They're behind the Netherlands, they're behind Bangladesh, and places for the Champions Trophy 2025, the IC has revealed, will be allocated on performances in this competition, this World Cup. अगर आप देखें तो 10 पे 10 है इंग्लैंड टीम. ताज्जुब की बात है कि हम आज के दिन भी, डिस्पाइट देयर फिफ्थ लॉस नाउ, we're talking about England not qualifying for the Champions Trophy. When they're at their best, they've been a fun sight to watch. Maybe arrogance has crept in, maybe a bit of complacency, maybe they're not playing enough one-day cricket. A host of reasons why this England team is the worst, officially the worst team in this World Cup. लेकिन हैरानी की बात यह है कि एक इंग्लैंड टीम इस बैटिंग पावर के साथ, इस बॉलिंग पावर के साथ, इस स्क्वाड के साथ, अगर ये 10 से 7 तक नहीं जाते तो इनका क्वालिफिकेशन खतरे में है 2025 चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी के लिए. ये मेरे लिए हैरानी की बात है, given all that this England team has done in the last 8 years. चलिए, मैंने तो बोल दिया जो मुझे बोलना था। अब हम आपके कमेंट्स पे आते हैं। लगता है बहुत सारे कमेंट्स आ चुके हैं। सबसे पहले कमेंट किसका है? कुणाल चट्टोपाध्याय सिंह, गुड मॉर्निंग सर जी। गुड मॉर्निंग आपको भी। नितिन पारी कह रहे इंग्लैंड अप्रोच ऑफ माई वे और हाईवे has cost them the वर्ल्ड कप। सीम्स हो ना। प्रतीक कह रहे जय भाई, क्या लगता है सेमीफाइनल में कौन सी टीम मिलेगी को? मैं तो कह चुका हूं 3 दिन पहले, इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया। Soothing meditation music is back. They look exhausted, uninterested in playing cricket here. Maybe they should play in developed countries only like Sena. पता नहीं क्या है, लेकिन जो भी है भाई, ये बड़ी फ्लैट टीम लग रही है। अश्वर्या, कल हमने बहुत बातें करी श्रेयस अय्यर के बारे में। इंडिया का मैच नहीं है आज। आज हम बात कर रहे हैं क्या इंग्लैंड चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी क्वालिफाई कर चुकी है। आप कल की वीडियो देख लीजिए। कल मैंने बड़े सटीक तरीके से श्रेयस अय्यर की उतार दी अपने शो पे। Ashutosh Bajpai, this England looks like early 2000s Indian team where Root, Malan, and Bairstow are like our Sachin, Viru, Dravid, and even if you get them out. I get where you're coming from, but frankly, let's not compare Dravid of 2000s to Joe Root. Joe Root shouldn't be in this England team. Joe Root is only playing this England team on reputation. Do you think if Owen Morgan was captain, he would have had David Malan and Joe Root batting back to back? Hargiz nahi. Joe Root should not have been in this World Cup. He's only playing because he's Joe Root. This team needed to play Harry Brook. They need younger, bigger hitters. चलिए, David Malan कोई बड़े hitter नहीं है, लेकिन David Malan at least had some good runs in the last 6 months to point for. Joe Root had nothing to show. So yes, but when David Malan and Joe Root in India are walking wickets, I Ashutosh would slightly disagree. And look, Sachin is you cannot compare जॉनी बेस्टो विद सच। आई गेट योर पॉइंट। यूर सेइंग कि टॉप 3 निकाल दो तो बाकी आएंगे, वो सही है। लेकिन जॉनी बेस्टो रन नहीं बना रहे, दाविद मलान रन नहीं बना रहे। दिस इज द ऑल टाइम वर्स्ट इंग्लैंड टीम टू एवर गो टू अ वर्ल्ड कप। Jamie, you following the rant about DRS manipulation and pitches and all? Are we letting Park narrative getting heavy on us? यार मेरे दोस्त, इतनी बार इस चैनल पर कह चुका हूं, TV9 पे कह चुका हूं, क्रिकेट नेक्स्ट पे कह चुका हूं, रपोसो पे कह चुका हूं कि पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट is a reflection of that country. That country needs a reset. Pakistan cricket needs a reset. If we're going to start listening to what the Pakistanis are whinging and whining about, फिर तो हम सब बहुत बहुत वेले हैं। एशिया कप के टाइम में वो टीम रोई, पीसीबी रोई, वर्ल्ड कप से पहले इनकी क्या शिकायतें? हमें सिक्योरिटी दो, हमें वीजास दो, चेन्नई में मैच मत रखो। डोंट इवन टेक अ वर्ड, डोंट इवन टेक अ वर्ड कमिंग आउट अबाउट from Pakistan, from the PCB. That country is a disaster and their cricket team is a disaster. I've gone on Pakistan shows. I was called by a Pakistani broadcaster, a YouTuber who likes to push propaganda. I got him to admit कि ये सबसे घटिया पाकिस्तान टीम है किसी भी वर्ल्ड कप में। तो again, let's not follow any rant about DRS. DRS, I said it on this channel as well. DRS is a complicated matter. I was at the first international match in 2008 in Colombo between India and Sri Lanka when DRS was first used. It's improved, but जब तक आप टेक्नोलॉजी पे विश्वास करोगे, जब आप टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करोगे, it's never going to be it's never going to be a straightforward thing. But I understand why certain Pakistani segments are making noise and hoo-ha. Don't let any Pakistan. Can we take Pakistan, the country, seriously in 2023? Let's face it. Irrelevant country and irrelevant cricket team. आगे बढ़ो. Don't let them get to you, my friend. अनूप कह रहे हैं ट्रू अब चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में इंग्लैंड सिर्फ दूसरों की बाउंड्रीज काउंट करेंगे। बिल्कुल, they won the World Cup based on boundary counts, and we've seen 8 years later, इस टीम से हो नहीं पाएगा। राहुल कह रहे हैं सर मे बी इट्स कर्मा इन 2019 वर्ल्ड कप इंग्लैंड वन वर्सेस न्यूजीलैंड ड्यू टू फॉल ट्रूथ। बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो आप। They just need to be in top 8. Park is automatically included as being the host. Bilkul, but can this England team win 3 matches from here? They're playing Australia still, they're playing Pakistan. I don't see this team winning more than 1 out of 3. That's my gut feeling. एसएसएस कम बैक विद इंडिया। भाई इंडिया का मैच नहीं है तो ये कमेंट मैं लूंगा नहीं आज। Harry Brooks should be given chance. He has game to adapt in any condition. Well, he struggled in the IPL in these conditions, but right now, can Harry Brooks actually do worse than Livingston, than Joe Root, than Bairstow, than Butler? No. You need to play someone younger, someone who's the future. David Malan is not your future. Josh Butler is not your future. Joe Root is your past. They need to find a way to play. मोइन अली क्या कर रहा है इस वर्ल्ड कप स्क्वाड में? भाई पता नहीं, अजीब लोग हैं ये इंग्लैंड वाले। जी भाई, आई नो आई एम ऑफ टॉपिक बट कैन वी सी प्लेयर्स लाइक भुवी यूज? अबे क्या कह रहे हो यार, कहा भुवी? वो भी खत्म हो चुका है यार। नहीं, anyways, I don't want to talk about. Let's stick to the topic. We do India every second day, yeah. England philosophy of modern white ball cricket, packing the team with batters, all rounders there. Well, look, they've had a massive reliance on all rounders. They've always played all rounders in white ball cricket, going back to the 80s, as far as I can remember watching. But right now, you Chris Wokes is struggling. David Willie's doing decently. Moeen is a disaster. Livingston is a disaster. What is Ben Stokes doing here? Ben Stokes had the chance to retire as their greatest white ball player. ये सोच रहा होगा यार मैं वापस आया इस वर्ल्ड कप खेलने के लिए. This is the worst official performance by any England team, and when this World Cup is ended, they're going to have, well, they already have it. They're going to be the worst defending champion. So I get your point. They need all rounders, but भैया कहीं से लेके आओ ये कौन से players तुम यहाँ लेके आए हो भाई? Swapni, you're talking about Shardul. I'm not talking about India. I did a whole show India. Are there any questions on today's topic, England? I don't want to talk about India in every single show. And Raj, sorry, no India questions. Rumors of Roy dropped for refusing ECB contract. Yeah, I read those. Who knows? It's very possible. But look, the guy still had 200s in the last 6 7 months. Why have you not brought Jason Roy to India? I'm not saying you would have changed the match around, but you need someone capable of dominating from the start. This Malan and Joe Root, bhaiya, insane nahi hoga. Players who did well, like Billings, Dawson, Banton, were dropped. Players needed like Crawley, Duckett, Will. I think Duckett and Will Jacks should have been here. Sam Hain looks like, again, all these players would probably get their chances now because I don't think Joe Root, David Malan, Joss Butler, they're going to be around post this World Cup. So there will be wholesale changes because when you're the most abject team in a World Cup, and Owen Morgan, the only man to win the World Cup for you, is saying that this is the worst sporting performance across any sport. आपकी टीम बहुत बहुत घटिया है. Seeing England form currently, even Netherlands can beat them. बिल्कुल, Netherlands can really meet them. Predictions for SL Afghanistan today. It's going to be a close match. We saw that due to in the Asia Cup, we saw that due to a calculation error, Afghanistan failed to beat Sri Lanka. They should have beaten them. I'm going to say I think Sri Lanka will win, but I'm going to say it's going to be very close, and Afghanistan are seriously going to push Sri Lanka. I don't think Afghanistan will win somehow, but they're going to really push them. England not qualifying for Champions Trophy. Churchill might be turning in his grave. I don't know how much of a cricket fan Churchill was, but it's a good point. Will it boost their cricket or further finish them? Probably finish them, right? Because when you're not there for ICC events, you can't. And look, we all know they put so much into the 100, into playing T20s. They've hardly played the right amount of one days in the last 4 years as compared to other teams. So I think they've just become overconfident, slightly bullish, slightly arrogant, and they've not regarded one day cricket as seriously as they did for the past 8 years. Uh, by the way, you sure CT won't happen in Pak? No, look, I'm saying India is not going to go to Pakistan. Just like the Asia Cup, there was a hybrid model. India will play their matches somewhere else, and most of the other teams will probably play in Pakistan. इंग्लैंड को तो जेसन रॉय की हाई लग गई है ना, लग रहा है. राम राम आकाश. नितिन कह रहे हैं इंग्लैंड should have to play according to conditions and not be stubborn. That's a good point. I think they are real flat track bullies, slightly testing conditions and they're exposed. Well, they've got some really flat tracks in India. How many tracks in India have been tricky? Lucknow ko chhodkar. They've played on flat tracks. They played in Bangalore. On Bangalore on that flat wicket they couldn't get to 150. They played in the Wankhede. That's a flat track. They played in the Kotla. They've played most of their matches on flat tracks and they failed to score runs. So I don't think you're right about calling them flat track bullies. These are all flat tracks they played on, barring yesterday's match. अगर आप 5 flat track पे मैच नहीं जीत पा रहे हो, फिर तो आप flat track bully भी नहीं हो. England will not qualify. There's a good statement. Mohit Yari is saying Ram Ram Ram. Swapnil is saying South Africa is the most successful team in this World Cup because most players are at their peak between 30 and 35. They've got some younger players as well, but I get your argument. With all due respect to you, my comment was on yesterday's match. I just saw India. Okay, let's go back to your question. Not being totally out of context, but again, I did a whole live show on yesterday's match, so I don't want to go back and right. I did a whole show yesterday. I'm talking about today's match, England, and looking at the Champions Trophy. Would be happy if Netherlands made a Champions Trophy. I would love them too, but it's going to be very tough. Loss versus Afghanistan broke England mentally. बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही है. If ऐसे win today and somehow defeat New Zealand, they will be semi-final contenders. Yes, New Zealand, Sri Lanka. Let's look at Sri Lanka's points table. They're playing Afghanistan today. They should win. They're not going to beat India on the second. They will beat Bangladesh, and they might. So again, if Sri Lanka win two out of four, which I believe they will get to 8 points. 8 points is not going to be enough. You need to get to 10 points minimum, and I don't see Sri Lanka winning three or four. So पता नहीं मुझे लगता है कि भाई श्रीलंका कभी पैकअप हो गया है. The last three World Cup home teams are winning World Cup. As of India not choking. Lot of chances. And I understand fully the combination permutations suggest that India will play Australia in the semi-final, but I think this team will do it. Anyways, let's get back to England and their current predicament. What's happening with Jofra? I think Jofra is just too injury prone. He's very money minded. He's probably realized that, Bhaiya, I'm probably better off playing less matches. And again, जितनी खराब ये इंग्लैंड टीम मुझे दिखी है मुझे लगता नहीं है कि जोफ्रा के होने से कुछ फर्क पड़ता because this team is broken. But no, that story was fake. About the contract from Mumbai Indians, no, that was fake. Not qualifying for CT equals char guna lagan. Who can win today? Well, both teams can win. You should be asking me who will win. I think it'll be Sri Lanka, but Afghanistan will seriously push them to the brink today. My gut feel. जी मैं आपको नहीं लगता इंडिया में कि एक मैच आना जरूरी है ऐसे भाई अगेन तुम इंडिया के बारे में आई विल स्टॉप टेकिंग क्वेश्चंस जो टॉपिक पे नहीं रहते भाई इंडिया को लेकर हर बार हम बात करते हैं कल मैंने 40 मिनट तकरीबन बात किया इंडिया के बारे में थोड़ा तो ब्रेक दो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट अदर कंट्रीज हर मैच इंडिया नहीं होता आप टॉपिक देख के थंबनेल देख के हेडलाइन देख के आप उस बेसिस पे सवाल करिए आई डोंट वांट टू से नो टू यू गाइस बट इफ आई टॉक अबाउट इंडिया एवरी सिंगल टाइम सम पीपल बी लाइक यार लेट्स टॉक अबाउट अदर टीम्स फॉरगेट इंडिया वर्ल्ड कप जीत रही है यार आगे बढ़ो England relied too much on coal-packed players and it might start to show in post-Brexit area. Possible. Morgan's stubbornness also made them lose. Yes, Morgan's stubbornness definitely saw them. Not Finn, but Hales definitely. But Hales apparently said that he was told he's not. There was no communication whether he'd be going to the World Cup in a post-Morgan era. That's why he retired from ODIs. Overall, I think England just backed the wrong players. I think we need to play Dil Dil England. Yes, सही comment आया Dil Dil England. भाई इंग्लैंड को तुम God save the Queen, God save the Queen भी लगा लो भाई इस टीम को ना तो Queen बचा पाएगी और ना ही God. So anyway, I'm utterly abject, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that not Pakistan, not Sri Lanka, not West Indies, not Bangladesh, the Champions Trophy might be played without England. England, which did so much for white ball cricket in the last 8 years. हैरानी की बात है यार मेरे लिए. If New Zealand met SA in final, who would think based on current form and temperament? Again, Swapnil, off-topic question, but I'll just say, two South African teams are playing this World Cup. One team that bats first and puts up 400. The second team that cannot chase 250. So, if New Zealand are fielding first, South Africa win the match. If South Africa are chasing, New Zealand win the match. It's that simple to me and that evident. Quite surprising that the team dominant in last 4 years is in shambles. Bilkul, they shouldn't have picked Moeen Ali. They shouldn't have picked Joe Root. They should have picked Jason Roy. Alex Hales is a tricky one because he wasn't playing that much one-day cricket. But they just need to back. What is Josh Butler doing batting at 5? They've not played the brand of cricket that they made their own. Very very surprising. I think जैसे कि मैंने कल News 9 sorry मैंने कल Cricket Next के शो पे कहा था unlike a Pakistan team which starts to dissolve and get into shambolic situations when they lose and all this infighting and all. I think this England team, unlike what Morgan said, I think this England team is actually so united that they're like, you know what? तू struggle कर रहा है, तू struggle कर रहा है, तेरा मूड नहीं है, तेरा मूड नहीं है, चल अपन साथ में डूबते हैं. I just think that's the unity in this team. If we're all struggling, let's all struggle. Like not one player is looking like turning the tide and doing something different. So and the batting is just horrendous. Amandeep, I now think England winning the World Cup in 19 was a fluke. No, it wasn't a fluke because they lost 3 matches there. They had dominated white ball cricket so much, that they were the best team in that World Cup. But yes, when they won on a boundary count, that can say the element of luck, and that is a massive stroke of luck. But I still think I covered that entire World Cup in England. I covered about five of their matches. That was a very, very good one-day team. So yeah, England is looking associate level. Worse, in fact. I believe this was a great team on paper. How can every batsman lose form? Again, when nothing is going right for you, very, very tough to win matches. Afghanistan must be gutted not beating Bangladesh. Bilkul, otherwise, had they not capitulated to the second worst team in this tournament, Afghanistan would actually be semi-final contenders, but now they're not. English cricket will go down as I think the players must compare themselves to Premier League money. 100 is nowhere close. 100 is a joke. It's a disaster. England was extremely overconfident on the luxury of bench strength. Probably you're right, Crick Maniac. Dropping Roy was the biggest mistake apart from calling back Stokes. Again, I get why they call back Stokes, but when Stokes is not bowling, when कल का क्या shot खेला यार? घटिया shot खेला. He must be really ruining his decision to come back. But like I said, I had this England team based on form, based on experience, as one of my top four teams. And I have to admit, I was so wrong. I misjudged this England team so badly. I had them in the top four, and they're 10 out of 10. That was one thing I didn't see coming. Shouldn't Root retire? Bilkul, Root should not be in this World Cup. Root, this is a very Indian, yeah, very Asian thing the selectors have done. भैया legend है, बढ़िया टेस्ट प्लेयर है, कोई बात नहीं, 6 महीने से रन नहीं बनाए, ये रन बनाएगा. Why is Joe Root playing? I know he got 250s at the start, but he's not scored a run in 4 matches. Joe Root cannot, just like Smith and Labuschagne, cannot win Australia the World Cup if they're in the same 11. The same way, to my mind, David Malan and Joe Root cannot be batting 2 and 3 in this World Cup. The game has changed. जिਵੇਂ नासिर हुसैन के कॉमेडी सिचुएशन में एक मोरल डाउन नहीं करेगा टीम का, इस इंग्लैंड टीम का एरा खत्म हो गया. बिल्कुल एरा एरा खत्म हो चुका है. दिस टीम विल हैव टू गो बैक. इनको इनको रीसेट बटन दबाना पड़ेगा. इनको नए खिलाड़ी लाना पड़ेगा. इस अप्रोच से ये टीम नहीं खेल पाएगी. और if every player understands the pressure built by bowler, can they understand the situation and stay calm and play non-risky shots? That's a good point, Abhinav. But they just seemed again a tricky surface, the best bowling attack that India's ever taken to a World Cup. Chasing 230 was going to be tough, but just seeing the kind of shots they've made, strange, no? Strange, Abhinav. Do you see changes in top four? No, I don't. I don't. This current top four will be there. I've seen many New English players in the V with horizontal bat. Isn't that poor technique? Again, this is probably a diet of too much T20 cricket and also this whole aggressive mindset, which frankly brought them the One Day World Cup as well as many, many bilateral series wins home and away, as well as the T20 World Cup. So when you're playing a certain way, even if it has technical flaws, technical risks, Ashutosh, if it's bringing you success, you probably get caught up in that mindset, कि यार सब चलता है. And suddenly, and let's face it, England have not won in India for a long, long time. They were always going to struggle in Indian conditions, but even on flat tracks, when they're not working, you have to question not their techniques in the V, have to question their mental aptitude. I personally don't think England is bad on paper. Neither do I. They didn't click. I agree. I would still back 10 out of 15 players in the squad to play ODI. Phil Salt. Phil Salt is another player. He and probably Jason Roy should be back more. Again, I've said it before. Johnny Bairstow is probably their all-time best white ball opener. He's done amazing things, but he's totally low on confidence. और जब आपके 1 से लेकर 11 तक player low on confidence हो, मैच जीतना असंभव है भाई. Hello, sir. I'm new subscriber. Welcome, Abhishek Tiwari. कैसे हो आप? Can we have Ashwin in place? Again, no India questions. Ashunarias. Okay. Anyways, it's 11:27. I've got a sore throat. I woke up with a terrible cough and throat. I'm gonna go do another gargle, another steam because I'm traveling tomorrow to Mumbai to cover India, and Sri Lanka, and I cannot think of traveling with a sore throat and a stuffy nose, and then sitting in the press box for 2 days also is going to be tough. I keep getting sick. I rarely get sick. लेकिन कल से फीलिंग आ रही थी कि भाई कुछ गड़बड़ है और सुबह उठाओ. I'm not coughing a lot, but when I do cough, it's like needles are being poked into my throat and my chest. So, and I have this is my third live show. I did a show at 9:30 on Reposo. I did a show at 10:30 on Reposo. I'm doing this live stream on 11. 1 o'clock. I'm going to be on TV9. then I've had to cancel my evening shows because I think it's just too much. I need at least half a day's rest before I fly to Mumbai tomorrow. So, but I've still got three more shows. I got two shows in the evening. So, anyways, maafi chahunga. I'm gonna have to wrap this stream up right now. Love you all. Thank you for your comments. If I've not answered your questions, bura mat manna, but I really am getting it's a little tiring talking about India every day. थोड़ी और टीम्स के बारे में बात करेंगे थोड़े न्यूज वर्दी टॉपिक्स के बारे में बात करेंगे love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, if I'm not traveling. No, actually, tomorrow I'm traveling. I'll try and do a show in the morning. अगर तबीयत ने साथ दिया, I'll try and do a show tomorrow morning before I go to the airport. Okay. Love you all. Have a great Monday. Jai Hind.